The Cliff House, once a sanctuary of love and breathtaking ocean views for Steffy Forrester Finnegan and John Finn Finnegan, has slowly transformed into a suffocating prison of anxiety and broken promises. For months, the looming specter of Sheila Carter has cast a long, dark shadow over their marriage, poisoning the well of their romance with every manipulative move she makes. Steffy, a woman who has survived unimaginable trauma at the hands of her mother-in-law, has reached the absolute limits of her emotional endurance. The severe post-traumatic stress disorder that grips her every time Sheila's name is mentioned is not merely a dramatic reaction, it is a visceral, terrifying reality for a mother desperate to protect her children. Yet, despite Steffy's agonizing pleas and the glaring history of Sheila's psychotic behavior, Finn has repeatedly fallen into the trap of his biological mother's emotional manipulation. His naive, almost desperate need to see the good in the woman who gave him life has blinded him to the lethal threat she poses to his wife and his family. The breaking point finally arrives on a night heavy with unspoken resentment and palpable fear. Exhausted by the endless cycle of Finn defending Sheila, Steffy realizes that her marriage is standing on the edge of a catastrophic precipice. She cannot continue to live in a state of perpetual terror, constantly looking over her shoulder, wondering when the monster will strike again. Gathering every ounce of her formidable Forrester strength, Steffy confronts her husband with a devastating, non-negotiable ultimatum. Her voice trembling with a mixture of heartbreak and fierce maternal resolve, she lays it all on the line. Either Finn severs ties with Sheila Carter completely and permanently, or she will pack up Hayes and Kelly and leave for Europe, never to return. This is not an empty threat born of a fleeting argument. It is a desperate survival tactic. Steffy is fighting for her sanity and the safety of her children, forcing Finn to finally choose between the family he built and the mother who has tried to destroy it. Finn is left standing in the wake of Steffy's ultimatum, the weight of her words crashing down upon him like the relentless waves outside their window. He is a man torn into, his heart agonizingly divided between his profound love for his wife and the inexplicable, toxic pull of his biological roots. For Finn, the choice should be simple, but Sheila has masterfully woven a web of guilt and obligation around his soul. He remembers the signed divorce papers, the tears Sheila shed in his hospital office, and the desperate pleas for a second chance. His compassionate nature, usually his greatest strength, has become his fatal flaw. As he looks into Steffy's tear-filled eyes, he realizes the magnitude of his catastrophic mistake in ever agreeing to advocate for Sheila. The Cliff House is engulfed in a suffocating silence, the chasm between husband and wife widening into an impassable abyss as Steffy waits for a definitive answer that Finn seems tragically incapable of giving. Unbeknownst to the fractured couple, the very architect of their misery is lurking in the shadows, her ears attuned to the desperate unraveling of their marriage. Sheila Carter, whose mental state has been rapidly declining into a dark, unhinged obsession, learns of Steffy's European ultimatum. To Sheila, Steffy is not a protective mother. She is an infuriating obstacle, a stubborn gatekeeper standing between her and the family she believes is rightfully hers. The news of the ultimatum triggers a terrifying shift in Sheila's psyche. The facade of the reformed, compliant woman who signed Deacon Sharp's divorce papers instantly evaporates, replaced by the calculating, ruthless psychopath who has terrorized Los Angeles for decades. Sheila realizes that if Steffy succeeds in taking Hayes to Europe, her twisted dream of a reunited family will be permanently destroyed. She cannot allow that to happen. She needs a plan, a diabolical, foolproof scheme to eliminate Steffy from the equation without getting her own hands ostensibly dirty. Sheila's mind, a labyrinth of malice and cunning, begins to formulate a plot so sinister and deeply manipulative that it defies comprehension. If Steffy is demanding that Finn choose, Sheila decides she must make the choice incredibly easy for him. She must transform Steffy from a victimized, protective mother into an unhinged, dangerous aggressor in Finn's eyes. To achieve this, Sheila resolves to stage a brutal attack on herself and meticulously frame her daughter-in-law for the crime. It is a massive gamble, a high-stakes theatrical performance that requires Sheila to inflict genuine physical harm upon her own body to ensure the illusion is perfectly convincing. As she paces the floor of her solitary confinement, stroking the photographs of Finn and Hayes with a chilling intensity, Sheila meticulously choreographs every detail of the impending setup. She knows exactly which buttons to push, how to exploit Finn's medical instincts, and how to weaponize his inherent compassion against his own wife. The execution of Sheila's staged attack is a masterclass in psychotic determination. Choosing a location and a time where Steffy's alibi might be weak or easily contested, Sheila sets the stage for her macabre performance. With a cold, unflinching resolve, she inflicts severe, bloody injuries upon herself. She creates bruises, deep lacerations, and signs of a violent struggle that would horrify any medical professional. She strategically plants evidence, ensuring that the breadcrumbs lead directly to Steffy Forrester Finnegan. As the blood flows and the pain registers, Sheila does not flinch. She smiles. Every drop of blood is an investment in her twisted future with Finn. She practices her tears, her trembling voice, and her story of a sudden, unprovoked ambush by a hysterical, out-of-control Steffy. The trap is perfectly set, its jaws gaping wide, waiting for the unsuspecting victims to walk right into a nightmare from which their marriage may ever recover. When Finn is summoned to the scene of the alleged attack, his world tilts on its axis. The sight of his biological mother, battered, bleeding, and weeping in apparent terror, strikes a primal chord within his heart. His medical training kicks in, but his emotional objectivity is entirely shattered. Sheila, playing the role of the traumatized victim with Oscar-worthy precision, clutches Finn's hand and whispers a narrative of pure fiction. She claims she only wanted to drop off a peace offering, to plead for a chance to prove her reformation, when Steffy, driven mad by paranoia and hatred, viciously attacked her. Sheila's tears are real, born of physical pain, but her words are venomous lies designed to assassinate Steffy's character. She paints a picture of a cold-blooded, merciless woman who would rather commit murder than allow a grandmother to see her grandson. Finn, overwhelmed by the visual evidence of his mother's injuries and blinded by his own misplaced guilt, swallows the poisonous narrative hook, line, and sinker. The confrontation that follows at the Cliff House is a scene of unparalleled devastation. Finn storms through the front door, his face a mask of righteous indignation and profound betrayal. Steffy, who has been anxiously waiting for him to make a decision regarding her ultimatum, is completely blindsided by his aggressive posture. When Finn hurls the accusations at her, detailing the brutal attack on Sheila, Steffy's initial confusion rapidly morphs into sheer, unadulterated horror. She vehemently denies the allegations, her voice echoing off the walls as she desperately tries to make her husband see reason. She reminds him of Sheila's long, documented history of staging crimes, faking her own death, and manipulating every situation to her advantage. Steffy begs Finn to look at the facts, to see the glaringly obvious setup for what it is. But Finn's eyes are clouded by the image of his bleeding mother. The seed of doubt planted by Sheila has instantly sprouted into a thick, thorny vine of suspicion that chokes the life out of their marital trust. The argument escalates into a screaming match, the emotional shrapnel tearing their relationship to shreds. In a moment of blinding anger and catastrophic misjudgment, Finn crosses a line that can never be uncrossed. Looking into the eyes of the woman he vowed to protect, the mother of his child, he calls her cold-blooded. He accuses Steffy of allowing her hatred for Sheila to strip away her humanity, suggesting that she is capable of the very violence she so deeply fears. Those two words strike Steffy with the force of a physical blow. The air leaves her lungs, and a chilling silence descends upon the room. In that singular, heart-stopping moment, Steffy realizes the horrifying truth. Sheila has won. The monster has not only infiltrated their lives, but she has successfully hijacked Finn's mind. The man standing before her is no longer the devoted husband who promised to keep her safe. He is a stranger, a puppet dancing on Sheila Carter's strings. The profound betrayal Steffy feels is an agony unlike any she has ever experienced. It is worse than the physical bullet Sheila once fired into her body, because this psychological wound is inflicted by the man she loves most in the world. Finn's refusal to believe her, his willingness to side with a known psychopath over his own wife, shatters the foundational core of their marriage. Steffy's fierce, protective instincts kick into overdrive. If Finn is so easily manipulated, if he truly believes she is a violent, cold-blooded attacker, then the Cliff House is no longer a safe haven. It is a hostile environment, tainted by Sheila's invisible presence and Finn's broken loyalty. The ultimatum she issued earlier in the day suddenly transforms from a desperate threat into an unavoidable reality. Steffy knows with absolute certainty that she cannot stay under this roof for another second. She must protect Kelly and Hayes from the toxic fallout of this madness, even if it means tearing her own heart out in the process. The decision is made in a split second, driven by adrenaline and a mother's fierce imperative to survive. Without saying another word to the man who just shattered her soul, Steffy turns on her heel and marches into the bedroom. The frantic rustling of suitcases and the opening of drawers replace the echoes of their screaming match. She packs with a mechanical, numb efficiency, throwing clothes, passports, and essential items into bags. The tears stream silently down her face, blurring her vision, but her hands do not stop moving. Every zipper closed as a door slamming shut on the life she built with Finn. She moves to the nursery, gently waking a sleeping Hayes, her heart breaking as she cradles his warm, innocent body against her chest. She gathers Kelly, whispering soothing words of reassurance to the confused child. The physical act of leaving the Cliff House is an agonizing exodus, a tragic retreat from the battlefield where Sheila Carter has just claimed a monumental, devastating victory. As Steffy loads her children and her hastily packed bags into her car, the ocean breeze feels biting and cold. She takes one last look at the Cliff House, the silhouette of Finn standing in the doorway, paralyzed by the sudden, catastrophic reality of her departure. He makes a half-hearted attempt to step forward to plead with her to stay and talk, but the engine roars to life, drowning out his words. Steffy's face is a mask of steely resolve, illuminated by the dashboard lights as she shifts the car into gear. As she drives away into the dark Los Angeles night, heading toward the airport and the promise of a European sanctuary, the finality of the moment hangs heavy in the air. The romance, once celebrated as an unbreakable bond forged in the fires of tragedy and true love, has been plunged into an abyss of darkness. Steffy is gone, taking the light, the laughter, and the future of their family with her, leaving Finn alone in the echoing emptiness of his catastrophic choices. Back at the Cliff House, Finn is engulfed by a suffocating wave of isolation and despair. The silence is deafening, broken only by the rhythmic crashing of the waves against the rocks below. He walks through the empty rooms, the lingering scent of Steffy's perfume serving as a cruel reminder of everything he has just lost. His mind is a chaotic whirlwind of conflicting emotions, guilt over his mother's injuries, anger at Steffy's perceived cruelty, and a profound, agonizing heartbreak over the sudden destruction of his family. He sits on the edge of their bed, burying his face in his hands, utterly lost in the darkness of his own making. He genuinely believes he is the victim of two warring women, completely oblivious to the fact that he has been masterfully played by the most dangerous predator in the city. His vulnerability in this moment is absolute, creating the perfect vacuum for the puppet master to step in and seize total control. The news of Steffy's midnight departure reaches Sheila with lightning speed, likely through her own surveillance or a carefully timed phone call to a devastated Finn. In the privacy of her hideout, Sheila allows herself a moment of pure, unadulterated triumph. Her staged attack worked flawlessly, yielding results that exceeded even her most twisted expectations. Steffy is gone, the children are out of the picture for now, and Finn is left emotionally bleeding and isolated. The fortress of the Forrester family has been breached, and the most formidable obstacle has removed herself from the board. Sheila's dark, obsessive eyes gleam with malicious delight. This is the opportunity she has been waiting for, the golden ticket to infiltrate her son's life without the constant, vigilant interference of his protective wife. The rift is not just a temporary separation. To Sheila, it is the dawn of a new era where she reigns supreme in Finn's heart. Wasting no time, Sheila capitalizes on Finn's profound grief and isolation. She positions herself as the ultimate martyr, the unconditionally loving mother who only wants to comfort her heartbroken son. She arrives at the Cliff House, her staged injuries carefully bandaged to serve as a constant visual reminder of Steffy's alleged brutality. She speaks in soft, soothing tones, validating Finn's pain and subtly reinforcing the narrative that Steffy is cold, unforgiving, and unreasonable. She wraps her arms around a man who is too emotionally shattered to push her away. Sheila's infiltration is insidious and rapid. She begins to fill the physical and emotional voids left by Steffy's absence, offering counsel, and slowly weaving herself into the daily fabric of Finn's existence. The Cliff House, once a monument to Steffy and Finn's love, becomes Sheila's new domain. As the days turn into weeks, Finn's transformation under Sheila's influence becomes deeply alarming. Cut off from Steffy's grounding presence and the protective circle of the Forrester family, Finn becomes increasingly dependent on his biological mother for emotional support. Sheila expertly manipulates his perception of reality, feeding his lingering anger towards Steffy while simultaneously presenting herself as the only person who truly understands and accepts him. She begins to subtly turn him against the Forresters, planting seeds of doubt about their morality, their arrogance, and their supposed mistreatment of him. She whispers toxic lies, acting like a slow-acting poison on his fragile mental state. Finn, desperate for connection and desperate to make sense of his shattered life, absorbs these manipulative falsehoods, slowly transforming into a willing puppet in Sheila's grand, vengeful design. The tragedy of this relationship is not just the physical separation, but the psychological corruption of John Finnegan. The brilliant, compassionate doctor who once stood as a beacon of moral integrity has been dragged into the murky, twisted depths of Sheila Carter's world. He is no longer making his own decisions. He is reacting to the carefully orchestrated stimuli provided by his mother. Sheila's revenge plan against the Forrester family is taking shape, and Finn is her ultimate weapon. By controlling Finn, she strikes a devastating blow to the heart of the Forrester matriarchy. The corporate wars and fashion rivalries that currently consume Los Angeles pale in comparison to the terrifying existential threat posed by a fully empowered Sheila Carter operating through a manipulated Finn. The darkness that has enveloped the romance is profound and suffocating. Steffy, thousands of miles away in Europe, is left to nurse a broken heart and protect her children from a distance, haunted by the memory of her husband calling her cold-blooded. Finn, trapped in the Cliff House with the very monster who nearly destroyed them both, is living in a distorted reality where up is down and lies are truth. The beautiful love story that survived shootings, comas, and endless adversity has been unceremoniously slaughtered by a single, perfectly executed act of deception. As Sheila Carter tightens her grip on her son, looking out over the ocean from Steffy's living room, one thing becomes chillingly clear: the battle for John Finnegan's soul has been lost, and the reign of terror is only just beginning. The Forrester family must brace themselves, for the puppet master is fully in control, And the final act of her revenge promises to be the most destructive one yet.